Big time players make big time plays in big time games. Shout out Santana Moss, and shout out to these following 5 players who had truly legendary playoff performances when it mattered most. First up, how could we not start with Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald and his memorable 2008 to 2009 playoff run. Overall, guys, Larry Legend set the NFL record with 546 receiving yards and 7 receiving touchdowns in a single postseason, and somehow the man did it in style. The eye test is even more bonkers than these numbers, guys. Talking about 3 touchdowns in the NFC Championship against the Eagles and another 2 absolutely electric scores in the Super Bowl against the Steelers. Almost had an even crazier play if he had managed to get his teammate out of his way and hawk down James Harrison before the half. So again, sadly didn't get the Super Bowl championship ring, but still in the eyes of everyone, Larry Legend was born during that postseason stretch. Up next, gotta give a shout out to Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp and everything that he accomplished throughout the 2021 regular season and into the 2022 postseason. Sure, things started off relatively quiet with just 61 yards and a touchdown in a wild card win over the Cardinals, but after that, guys, a $183 against the Buccaneers, including a beautiful game-clinching over-the-shoulder catch from Matthew Stafford to stop what looked like was going to be another memorable Tom Brady comeback. And then after that, guys, 2 touchdowns in the NFC Championship against a 49ers team that beat the Rams in both of their regular season matchups. And to cap everything off, we had another 2 touchdown performance in the freaking Super Bowl against the Bengals, including the walk-off touchdown with under 90 seconds remaining. Truly a memorable year from Cooper Kupp. The way he started it, and of course, the way he finished it made things that much sweeter. Up next, we have Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco and everything he managed to accomplish during the 2012 and 2013 NFL season. Guys, we're talking about ripping off 4 straight wins against the Colts and Andrew Luck, the Broncos and Peyton Manning, the Patriots and Tom Brady, and then the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick in the Harbaugh Bowl. I know, maybe Kaepernick didn't have the longest and most prolific career, but this was just one game removed from the guy going absolutely bonkers and one of the best playoff performances ever against the Green Bay Packers. So to see Flacco come out on the right side of all these matchups with 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, absolutely spectacular. The only other quarterbacks to throw that many passing touchdowns in a single postseason are Patrick Mahomes, Kurt Warner, and Joe Montana. And guess what, guys? Mr. Elite actually only joins Montana as the only 2 quarterbacks that have thrown 11 touchdowns without a single interception along the way. Yeah, sure, I know Broncos fans, if Raheem Moore had played that 70-yard bomb just a little bit better, maybe none of those other accomplishments would have ended up happening. That said, Flacco certainly saved his best for when it mattered most and accordingly got a juicy $120 million contract extension shortly after taking home Super Bowl glory. Up next is a bit of a wild card, guys, because this guy wasn't necessarily even the number 1 receiver on his team during the regular season and for parts of the postseason. That said, gotta give some love to Giants wide receiver Hakeem Nicks and everything that he accomplished during the 2011-2012 postseason. Again, talking about Victor Cruz being the number 1 wide receiver on that Giants squad during the regular season, and the most memorable play of the entire postseason was undoubtedly Eli Manning connecting with Mario Manningham down the sideline. But guys, in between those 2 worlds, we had Nicks balling out, racking up 3 100-plus yard performances in 4 postseason games. Only Larry Fitzgerald with 4 and Travis Kelce with 3 have also managed to accomplish that during 1 postseason stretch. So again, truly high production from Nicks, who ended up racking up 444 combined receiving yards, good for the 3rd highest postseason mark in NFL history. And the man did so in style, specifically in that Packers performance, had a long catch and run touchdown in the first half, and then most memorably caught that Hail Mary right before halftime. So again, certainly was a very much team effort from the Giants during Eli Manning's 2nd Super Bowl run, but the wide receiver that was most consistently putting up numbers during that stretch at the end was undoubtedly Hakeem Nicks, and accordingly, he will be a Giants legend forever. All right, guys, last one I want to spend a significant amount of time on, but for good reason, talking some Buccaneers running back Leonard Fournette, aka Lombardi Lenny, and everything he pulled off during that 2020 to 2021 Buccaneers Super Bowl run. Overall, guys, 448 total yards during that 4-game stretch, good for the 8th highest mark in a single postseason by a running back in NFL history, and the man largely did so in style, specifically had his best run and probably his worst overall performance in Lambeau against the Packers. My man's broke multiple tackles and showed off a filthy spin move on his way to the end zone on that occasion. So again, had the highlights, had the production, and when you add it all together, guys, at least in raw PPR fantasy points, truly one of the best postseasons from a running back ever. Specifically, we're only talking about Thurman Thomas, Terrell Davis, Marcus Allen, and John Riggins as running backs who have ever scored more PPR points in a single postseason than what Lombardi Lenny managed to accomplish here. Not too shabby for a guy that couldn't even lock down the full-time running back job in this offense for most of the season going in. Shout out Ronald Jones with that one. But again, as much as we deservingly give Tom Brady, Mike Evans, Gronk, and all those guys their flowers, Leonard Fournette was a pivotal player for that stretch run, and accordingly, we got to give him some praise as well. Obviously, we could go through a ton of other performances. I was really only restricting things to the last 23 years, setting 2000 as my relatively arbitrary cutoff. But even from that time frame's perspective, there are still a ton of honorable mentions I want to at least quickly mention, specifically Panthers wide receivers Steve Smith and Musa Muhammad and everything they did during the 2003-2004 postseasons that sadly ended in that shootout loss to the Patriots. Also, Cardinals quarterback Kurt Warner. Yes, Larry Fitzgerald was a star during that postseason stretch, but somebody had to throw him the ball, and Warner did it better than just about anyone during that magical 4-game run. Shout out to Giants quarterback Eli Manning. In a similar sentiment, already shouted out Hakeem Nicks plenty, but again, Eli was the one that ended up leading the charge in the fourth quarter with one of the best passes we've ever seen in a Super Bowl, to Mario Manningham. Ravens wide receiver Anquan Bolden was usually on the other end of those Joe Flacco touchdowns during the 2012 and 2013 postseason. Truly awesome career from start to finish for Bolden. Also, guys, how could we not mention Tom Brady, and specifically what he did in the 2014 to 2015 and then 2020 to 2021 postseasons when he managed to rack up his most touchdowns in a single postseason stretch. Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman managed to win the Super Bowl MVP for what he accomplished during the 2018 to 2019 seasons, was just 4 yards away from having back-to-back 100-yard performances during that stretch. Also, guys, Titans running back Derrick Henry went absolutely nuclear during the first 2 games of the 2019-2020 postseason. Unfortunately, as has been the case for a lot of teams, that Cinderella story struck midnight and came to an end at Arrowhead in round 3. Speaking of Arrowhead, 3 Chiefs do deserve some mention here, specifically Patrick Mahomes and everything he did in that 2019-2020 postseason run. Started off with 5 touchdowns against the Texans and culminated in that victory over the 49ers. And also, how about playoff Dame, guys? Damian Williams scored 10 total touchdowns and averaged 108 total yards per game during a magical 5-game playoff stretch, including both the 2018 to 2019 postseasons. Truly incredible stuff, and just goes to show you how sometimes these dominant running back performances come out of nowhere. But the last guy we need to mention is someone that honestly has just been going off one postseason after another. That's right, Travis Kelce. Now in 16 postseason games with Patrick Mahomes, guys, we have seen 17 touchdowns, 1,400 receiving yards, and truly one masterclass after another. So again, plenty of other ones out there, and I was only looking at quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. I understand defenders and linemen certainly have had plenty of memorable postseason stretches as well. A little bit harder to quantify those, as you guys can all understand for sure. But either way, guys, let me know in the comments who you think I might have missed, and maybe just who you particularly enjoyed. It is the postseason after all, where miracles and legends are born. Talk about a great day to be great, in my opinion. So thanks again for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe if you wish. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.